In today's fast-paced world, relationships often feel like a delicate balancing act. Many times we find ourselves competing for someone's attention, whether it's a romantic partner, a friend, or even a family member. We all desire to be a priority in someone's life, not merely an option. But how can we shift from feeling neglected to becoming someone who is truly valued? The answer lies in the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. By applying Stoic principles to our relationships, we can foster deeper connections and earn the respect and attention we deserve. In this video, we'll dive into how Stoic teachings, such as focusing on what you can control, building self-worth through virtue, and setting healthy boundaries, can transform the way you engage with others. This isn't about trying to impress someone, it's about creating a mindset that naturally attracts the right kind of respect and makes you a priority in their life. Stay with me, and let's explore these transformative principles. Chapter 1. Cultivate self-worth through virtue. The first and most essential step in becoming someone's priority is understanding and cultivating your own sense of self-worth. In a world where external validation is often sought after, Stoicism provides a counterbalance. It teaches that true worth is not determined by how others perceive us, but by our internal virtues and values. Stoics believe that your worth should not come from approval, applause, or recognition, but from how you live according to your own principles. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminds us in his Meditations, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This is the foundation of Stoic self-worth, your mind and your ability to shape it. If you constantly seek reassurance or approval from others, you place your emotional well-being in the hands of others, leaving yourself vulnerable and uncertain. Instead, Stoicism encourages us to cultivate self-worth based on our integrity, honesty, and commitment to doing what is right, no matter the situation. When you begin to define your value through actions aligned with virtue, you shift away from external sources of validation. This internal source of self-esteem makes you far less dependent on the opinions or approval of others. Paradoxically, this sense of independence and internal strength makes you more attractive, both to yourself and to others. A person who lives according to their principles exudes a quiet confidence. They are not driven by the approval of others, and this self-respect is magnetic. When you project this type of self-worth, others are drawn to it. They sense that you are grounded in your beliefs and have a strong sense of who you are. You become less likely to chase after approval and more likely to attract those who value you for who you truly are, not for what you can offer them in terms of external validation or attention. Self-worth through virtue also means recognizing your inherent value regardless of your successes or failures. Stoics believe in the idea of eudaimonia, or flourishing, which comes not from external circumstances, but from living a virtuous life. For example, instead of looking for validation through external markers of success like wealth, status, or popularity, you can focus on cultivating the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These virtues become the bedrock of your identity. They guide your actions and decisions, ensuring that you are always living in alignment with your highest values. When you make decisions based on virtue rather than external expectations, you reinforce your self-worth and become more consistent in your approach to life and relationships. Another key aspect of cultivating self-worth through virtue is the ability to accept oneself, flaws and all. Stoicism doesn't suggest that we should be perfect, but rather that we should strive to be better each day. It teaches us to embrace our imperfections as opportunities for growth rather than sources of shame. When you stop seeking to please others and instead focus on improving yourself, you become more resilient to the opinions of others. This resilience allows you to navigate relationships from a position of strength, making it clear that you are someone who values themselves, regardless of external circumstances. In relationships, when you are anchored in your own self-worth, you stop competing for attention or approval. Instead, you show up as your true self, genuine, confident, and complete. This presence naturally commands respect, and people are more likely to prioritize you in return. You become someone who is admired not because of how much you seek to please others, but because of how well you respect yourself and live by your values. Your relationships shift from being transactional to being rooted in mutual respect and admiration. Ultimately, cultivating self-worth through virtue allows you to live more authentically and become someone whose presence is valued, not just in terms of what you can offer, but for who you truly are. As you continue to embody these Stoic principles, you'll find that the more you invest in your own personal growth, the more others will invest in you as well. Your self-worth becomes a magnet that draws in people who value you for your integrity, your character, and your commitment to living a virtuous life. So, take the time to reflect on your values and live according to them. By doing so, you not only build a strong sense of self-worth, but you also become someone others want to prioritize, because you've already prioritized yourself. Chapter 2. Focus on what you can control. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is the fundamental distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. This principle is crucial in relationships as it helps guide us toward emotional resilience and authentic connection. In the context of building meaningful relationships, particularly when striving to become a priority in someone's life, it's important to understand that you cannot control how others feel or behave. People have their own thoughts, emotions, and responses to the world, and you cannot manipulate or dictate those. This can be a tough pill to swallow, especially when we care deeply for someone and want their attention or approval. However, by accepting that we cannot control others, we free ourselves from the stress and frustration of trying to change them. Instead, Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control: our own actions, thoughts, and reactions. When we seek validation or approval from someone else, we unintentionally give away our personal power. The more we chase someone else's attention or attempt to influence their feelings, the more we become dependent on their response for our sense of worth. This creates an unhealthy dynamic, as our self-esteem becomes tethered to another person's behavior, making us vulnerable to disappointment and emotional turmoil. In contrast, when we take ownership of our actions and reactions, we regain our power. By focusing on what we can control, our choices, how we communicate, and how we carry ourselves, we strengthen our sense of self and increase the chances of being treated with respect. This doesn't mean that we should stop caring about how others feel or stop showing affection or interest in them. Rather, it means that we should stop seeking their approval as a measure of our worth. When we focus on living according to our values, such as integrity, kindness, and authenticity, we stop chasing after others' validation. Instead, we project confidence and self-respect. When we focus on our own behavior and align our actions with our core values, we become less dependent on external validation. This paradoxically makes us more attractive, because we are no longer needy or dependent on others for our emotional well-being. By embodying the best version of ourselves and not trying to manipulate or force someone else's feelings, we naturally draw people to us who appreciate us for who we truly are. This isn't about trying to impress others or win their attention through clever tactics or gimmicks. It's about consistently living in alignment with your values, acting with authenticity, and trusting that the right people will notice your genuine character. When you stop chasing attention and start living from a place of self-respect, others are more likely to notice your worth and prioritize you, because they will see that you are someone who values themselves and is not dependent on others for happiness or validation. Moreover, focusing on what you can control allows you to build deeper, more meaningful connections. Instead of investing emotional energy into trying to change someone's behavior or earn their affection, you invest that energy into fostering mutual respect and understanding. This creates a foundation for authentic relationships, where both parties feel valued for who they truly are. It also helps you avoid the unhealthy cycle of emotional reactivity, where you feel disrespected or hurt when someone doesn't give you the attention you desire. When you are anchored in your own sense of self-worth and focus on actions you can control, you respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. You stop giving away your power to someone else's behavior, and instead you remain grounded in your own values and principles. In Stoicism, the goal is to cultivate inner peace and strength by focusing on the one thing we truly have control over, ourselves. By embracing this mindset, we stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward for the strength and resilience to handle whatever comes our way. When we embody this Stoic approach, we naturally attract people who respect us for the right reasons, and they will see us as a priority, not just an option. Ultimately, by focusing on what you can control, your actions, words, and emotional responses, you stop chasing approval and start becoming the person who is worthy of respect. When you focus on being your best self, living authentically and maintaining your integrity, you attract relationships built on mutual respect and admiration. By focusing on what you can control, you empower yourself to create deeper, more meaningful connections where you are prioritized, not because you chased attention, but because you embodied the best version of yourself. Chapter 3. Set boundaries and prioritize yourself. One of the most powerful, yet often overlooked teachings in Stoicism is the importance of setting boundaries. Stoicism emphasizes the value of self-discipline and self-respect, not just in terms of how we handle work or external challenges, but also in how we manage our relationships. If we are to be treated as a priority by others, we must first treat ourselves with the same level of respect. When we constantly make ourselves available to others without considering our own needs, we inadvertently teach them that our time, energy, and well-being are secondary. This can lead to a situation where we are no longer seen as a priority, but simply as an option that others can rely on when it's convenient for them. The Stoic principle of self-control encourages us to take charge of our lives by setting healthy boundaries. It's easy to fall into the trap of people-pleasing, saying yes to every request or demand, hoping that doing so will make us more indispensable or valued. However, this approach often backfires. When we continuously put others' needs ahead of our own, we risk burning out, losing our sense of self, and ultimately diminishing our worth in the eyes of those around us. In essence, by neglecting ourselves for the sake of others, we teach others to undervalue us. Setting boundaries, on the other hand, is an act of self-respect. It's a way of saying, my time and energy are valuable, and I will not allow them to be taken for granted. By being selective about when and how we give our time, we establish a sense of importance in our relationships. We communicate that we value ourselves and our needs, and as a result, others are more likely to recognize that value and treat us accordingly. Boundaries aren't about being selfish or rejecting others. They're about ensuring that we have the space and energy to live in alignment with our own values and priorities. When we have healthy boundaries, we are better equipped to show up fully for the people who matter without sacrificing our own well-being. The key to successful boundary setting is balance. It's important to be present for others, to show love and care when it's needed, but equally important to remember that our own needs and well-being are just as important. Stoicism teaches that by exercising self-control, we create the mental and emotional space necessary for growth and self-improvement. This includes the ability to say no when necessary, whether it's declining an invitation that doesn't serve us or refraining from overextending ourselves in ways that compromise our values or goals. In doing so, we create more space for what truly matters. By consistently honoring our own boundaries, we show others how to treat us. When we prioritize ourselves and our well-being, we invite others to do the same. We stop becoming the option that others can rely on at their convenience and instead become someone whose time and presence are truly valued. In relationships, this sets the tone for mutual respect, where both parties honor each other's needs, time, and energy. Ultimately, practicing self-discipline through boundary setting is a form of self-love. It's about showing that we are worthy of respect, attention, and care, not by constantly chasing it, but by creating an environment where we are treated with the same level of respect that we give to ourselves. By incorporating this Stoic principle into our relationships, we position ourselves as individuals who are not only important to others, but also to ourselves, ensuring that we remain a priority, not just an option. Chapter 4. Be present and practice. Active listening. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get distracted, especially in our relationships. With constant notifications, multitasking, and the demands of daily life, we often find ourselves physically with someone, but mentally elsewhere. However, one of the most powerful ways to make someone feel valued and prioritized is by being fully present when you're with them. Stoics understood the importance of presence, both mentally and emotionally. In fact, they believed that being present in each moment is essential for a calm and disciplined life. When we give our full attention to someone, we are not just showing them respect, but we are also cultivating a deeper connection that can strengthen the relationship. Active listening is a practice that reflects the Stoic value of mindfulness. Mindfulness in Stoicism is about being aware of your thoughts, emotions, and actions in the present moment. It encourages us to live fully in the now, rather than dwelling on the past or anxiously worrying about the future. By practicing active listening, you make the conscious choice to engage with someone with your complete focus. This means putting aside distractions, no checking your phone or looking at the clock, and truly absorbing what the other person is saying. It's about giving them space to express themselves, understanding their perspective, and responding thoughtfully. When we listen actively, we show the other person that their thoughts, feelings, and experiences matter. This simple act of attentiveness can have a profound impact on the quality of our relationships. It fosters an environment where the other person feels seen, heard, and appreciated, which in turn makes them more likely to prioritize you. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Active listening is a way of giving the other person space to share without feeling rushed or dismissed, allowing the conversation to unfold in a way that promotes mutual understanding and respect. Moreover, being present and practicing active listening doesn't just strengthen your relationships with others. It also helps you grow as an individual. By fully engaging with someone in conversation, you gain new insights, perspectives, and ideas that contribute to your own personal development. It also allows you to apply Stoic principles like patience, empathy, and emotional control, especially in challenging situations. When we are present in a conversation, we are less likely to react impulsively or get caught up in emotions. Instead, we can respond with clarity, thoughtfulness, and understanding. This is especially valuable in moments of conflict or tension, where being present and listening carefully can diffuse misunderstandings and help find solutions. Active listening is also an antidote to the temptation of self-centeredness or ego. It's easy to think about what we want to say next, or how we want to steer the conversation when we're speaking with others. But the Stoic practice of listening attentively requires us to shift our focus away from ourselves and toward the person in front of us. It's a reminder that true connection comes not from dominating the conversation, but from making the other person feel heard and understood. This is where real mutual respect and prioritization emerge. When someone feels like they have your full attention, they are more likely to reciprocate and prioritize you in return. Incorporating this principle of being present into your daily interactions can transform your relationships. When you give someone the gift of your full attention, you're not only creating a space for genuine connection, but also aligning with the Stoic virtue of mindfulness. By practicing active listening and presence, you become a person who values others deeply, who respects their thoughts and feelings, and who fosters relationships built on mutual respect and understanding. This, in turn, makes you someone who is more likely to be treated as a priority in their lives, not just an option. Chapter 5. Accept that you can't control their feelings. One of the foundational teachings of Stoicism is the recognition that there are many things in life that are simply beyond our control. This applies not only to external events, but also to the feelings and behaviors of others. In relationships, this concept can be particularly difficult to accept. We often want to control how others feel about us, and the desire to be prioritized by those we care about is natural. However, constantly worrying about someone else's feelings or trying to manipulate them into prioritizing you can lead to frustration, disappointment, and unnecessary emotional turmoil. The Stoic approach to this dilemma is one of acceptance. According to Stoic philosophy, it's essential to distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. You cannot control how someone else feels, how they behave, or whether they choose to prioritize you. These are their decisions, shaped by their own values, experiences, and emotions. However, what you can control is how you show up in the relationship, your actions, your communication, your attitude, and the way you carry yourself. Rather than obsessing over someone's feelings or trying to manipulate the relationship into something it's not, Stoicism encourages us to focus on being the best version of ourselves. By aligning with our core values, acting with integrity, honesty, and kindness, we become people who naturally add value to others' lives. When we focus on embodying the best traits of a good friend, partner, or loved one, we attract people who recognize and appreciate these qualities. The key is to cultivate a sense of inner strength and peace that is independent of external validation. This is not about being detached or indifferent. It's about knowing that you are enough on your own and that your worth is not dependent on anyone else's approval or affection. In relationships, this Stoic lesson doesn't mean you stop caring. On the contrary, it means that you care in a way that is rooted in wisdom and understanding. You show up with your best self, without trying to force the connection, and trust that if the relationship is meant to grow, it will. By accepting that relationships are a two-way street, you allow space for the other person to reciprocate your efforts and feelings voluntarily. You trust that if the bond is real and genuine, it will develop naturally over time. However, there will be times when, despite your best efforts, someone simply doesn't prioritize you or doesn't feel the same way. This can be painful, but Stoicism teaches us that we must not let this reflect negatively on our sense of self-worth. If someone doesn't recognize your value or isn't willing to make you a priority, it's not a reflection of your character. Instead, it's a reflection of their own emotions and choices. Accepting this helps you detach from unnecessary emotional distress and move forward with peace of mind. By practicing acceptance and detachment, you also protect yourself from the endless cycle of seeking approval. It allows you to step back from the pressure of trying to change someone else's feelings, which is ultimately futile. When you accept that you can only control your own actions, you empower yourself to act with integrity and consistency without relying on others to validate you. This, in turn, helps you build deeper and more authentic relationships because you stop seeking validation from others and instead let the relationship unfold naturally. The Stoic lesson of accepting what you cannot control is liberating. It frees you from the emotional roller coaster of trying to manipulate or force a relationship into being what you want it to be. Instead, you can focus on being the best version of yourself, adding value to the relationship, and trusting that if the connection is meant to grow, it will. And if it doesn't, you can accept that as a natural outcome, knowing that it doesn't diminish your worth or diminish your capacity to form meaningful, fulfilling relationships in the future. Ultimately, by embracing this Stoic mindset, you create space for healthier, more balanced relationships that are rooted in mutual respect and understanding. Chapter 6. Be consistent and reliable. One of the most powerful ways to become a priority in someone's life is through consistency and reliability. These are two qualities that are not only highly valued in Stoic philosophy, but also crucial for fostering trust and respect in any relationship. In a world full of distractions and uncertainty, the ability to be dependable and steady is one of the most valuable traits you can possess. Stoicism teaches us that discipline, reliability, and the commitment to one's word are fundamental to living a virtuous life. These qualities don't just apply to our work ethic, they are essential in how we show up for others. To be seen as a priority in someone's life, it's vital to demonstrate that you can be relied upon, day in and day out. Whether it's following through on a promise, offering support when it's needed, or simply being present, reliability helps to build the foundation of trust in any relationship. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." It's not enough to say the right things or make grand gestures. You need to embody consistency through your actions. Every time you follow through on your word, every time you show up when you say you will, you reinforce the idea that you are someone who can be depended on. Reliability goes beyond just keeping commitments. It also extends to being emotionally steady and present in times of need. Relationships can be tested during challenging moments, and how you respond in these situations can solidify your position as someone who is a true priority in another person's life. By being consistently supportive and showing up in both the good and bad times, you create a strong sense of trust and security. People appreciate knowing they can count on you, and this reliability naturally elevates your position in their lives. Being consistent also means being true to your values and principles over time. Stoics believed in living in alignment with one's own virtues, and this is just as important in relationships. If you act in a way that reflects your core beliefs and values consistently, others will not only respect you for it, but they will also come to rely on you for your steady character. This kind of reliability is not built on flashy promises or temporary acts of kindness. It is built on a foundation of consistency in your actions, your words, and your intentions. When people see that you are reliable, they are more likely to prioritize you, because they know you will show up when it matters most. In a world full of transient connections and fluctuating attention, being someone who is consistent and dependable makes you a rare and valuable presence. You become someone others can lean on, someone they can trust to be there for them in the long term. Consistency also removes the uncertainty and anxiety that can often accompany relationships. When you are dependable, you offer a sense of stability that others can rely on, and this is something that cannot be underestimated. Furthermore, Stoicism encourages us to take responsibility for our actions and their impact on others. If you say you will do something, do it. If you offer support, provide it wholeheartedly. Reliability is built on the trust that your words and actions align, and when this is consistently demonstrated, It naturally elevates your status in the lives of others. It's not just about being there for the big moments, it's about showing up, day in and day out, as someone who can be counted on. This consistency is the foundation of strong, lasting relationships and ensures that you are seen as a priority, not just an option. By being reliable, you reinforce the idea that you are indispensable in the lives of those who matter to you. In conclusion, consistency and reliability are central tenets of Stoic philosophy and invaluable tools for becoming a priority in someone's life. When you align your actions with your commitments, show up when you say you will, and remain steady in your character, you naturally earn the trust and respect of others. In a world that often lacks stability, being a reliable person is one of the most powerful ways to ensure that you are valued, respected, and prioritized in relationships. Chapter 7. Show appreciation without expectation. In relationships, expressing appreciation is not only a kindness, but a powerful tool for strengthening bonds. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we have, not what we lack, and to approach life with gratitude. This mindset shift is essential for fostering meaningful relationships. Rather than fixating on what others can do for us or how they can benefit us, Stoicism encourages us to appreciate the people in our lives for who they are and the efforts they put forth. Showing genuine gratitude creates an environment where people feel valued and respected, which naturally deepens connections. The more you express authentic appreciation, the more likely you are to strengthen your relationship with others and foster goodwill. However, the key aspect of this Stoic approach is the idea of showing appreciation without expecting anything in return. This is crucial in ensuring that your appreciation is genuine. Too often when we give something, whether it's our time, energy, or kindness, we expect something back, whether it's gratitude, favors, or validation. But Stoicism teaches us to give freely and without the expectation of reciprocation. When you give expecting something in return, you are not truly giving. You are simply making a transaction. This expectation can quickly sour relationships as it places pressure on the recipient and can lead to disappointment if the response isn't what we hoped for. On the other hand, giving without expectation fosters a sense of genuine generosity, free from any strings attached. This selfless generosity strengthens the foundation of respect in any relationship. When you show appreciation without attaching any conditions or expectations, you invite the other person to feel comfortable and valued in your presence. They are not weighed down by the pressure to repay your kindness. Instead, they can accept your gratitude freely, knowing that you are not seeking anything in return. This creates a healthy dynamic where both people feel empowered to be themselves without the fear of obligation. The Stoic view is clear. True generosity of spirit builds authentic bonds that are not based on transactional exchanges, but on mutual respect and understanding. Moreover, when you express appreciation without expectation, it paradoxically increases the chances of being valued and prioritized in return. When people feel seen and respected for their efforts, they are more inclined to reciprocate that appreciation, often without being asked or expecting anything. This creates a positive cycle where both parties continue to nurture and support each other, not out of obligation, but out of genuine care and respect. By freely showing gratitude without expecting something back, you model the type of behavior that invites others to do the same, thus strengthening the emotional and relational ties between you. This practice also contributes to your own well-being. When you give without expecting anything in return, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of waiting for acknowledgement or reciprocation. Stoicism teaches us that our happiness should not be dependent on the actions of others. By cultivating gratitude without expectation, you create an internal sense of peace and fulfillment that is not reliant on external validation. This emotional independence makes you more resilient in relationships and helps you navigate them with a sense of inner calm. Ultimately, by adopting the Stoic principle of showing appreciation without expectation, you foster deeper, more meaningful relationships. You create an environment where respect, mutual admiration, and authenticity can thrive. This approach not only strengthens your bond with others, but also allows you to cultivate a mindset of selflessness and generosity, which enriches your life and the lives of those around you. By giving freely and without expectation, you contribute to creating a world where true connection and mutual respect are the foundation of every relationship. By embracing Stoic principles such as self-worth, presence, boundaries, and acceptance, you can transform your relationships and become someone who is not merely an option, but a true priority. The Stoic approach emphasizes focusing on what you can control, your actions, mindset, and choices, while releasing the need to manipulate or control others. Relationships built on respect, consistency, and mutual appreciation are the most enduring. By cultivating self-worth, you strengthen your confidence without arrogance. Practicing presence deepens your connections, while setting clear boundaries preserves your integrity. Acceptance of challenges allows for growth. Applying these principles will naturally attract meaningful and lasting relationships. Which Stoic principle will you apply first to elevate your relationships today?